Any woman telling you that you are male-centered is trying to save your life.
To Mrs. Grant's video, I can tell that she's male-centered.
Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel Daniels. So I was scrolling through the street of TikTok and I saw a video about a lady that was asking if she is male-centered, right? And I decided to bring it here so that we can all watch and then we deliberate on what transpired between she and her friend. So I'd like you guys to sit back and watch the video to the end. When you're done, I'll come back and give my own opinion about her questions. So guys, don't go anywhere.
I lost a close friend of many years, and one of the reasons that I guess we stopped being friends, or one of the reasons she's brought up to me, was that I am male centered or I talk about men too much. And I think that's so interesting because as a woman in my mid 20s who has intentions of being married and having children, that's a really big part of my life. And I'm like in my friendships and in my relationships, I share about what's going on in my life, and dating and being with men is something that I'm actively doing, I enjoy doing, and I don't think there is anything wrong with that. So I was just confused whether whether she was right and like I was like talking about men too much, or there was just like a mismatch, in like personalities there, or, like whatever it might be. But I think the whole conversation around being male centered is so interesting because as women who date men, we're going to be dealing with men. And that's probably one of the most important relationships in our lives if you're a woman dating a man and has intentions to be married. So I don't know. I just think that's so interesting because I think two things can be true at once. Yes, I enjoy dating men. I like men. A lot of my time goes into my relationships with men, but I also have a very full life for myself. And I also have a lot of goals and a lot of things that I work towards. So I guess I'm like side eye about like where that relationship ended, or just curious to hear like your thoughts, because like if me pursuing men and that's a big part of my life means that I'm male centered, I guess I am male centered. At the end of the day, if you're a woman that likes men, like you're not going to get away from that. Like you are always going to be amongst men. You're always going to be, dating men, and that doesn't negate the fact that I understand male nature. I understand how they move, and I understand the bullshit that they be doing. I still like men though, and I still date men. So I guess I'm male centered. I don't know.
Here's my opinion on this video, right? This is what I think. There are always two sides to a story. There are always two sides to a story. She might be feeling that the fact that she talked about men too much, that's why her friend left. There might be other underlying, things that might have transpired between the both of them that made her friend, stop talking to her. And why would you as a woman center your life around a man? Why would you center your life around a man? I'm not saying don't like men, but I don't think you want to center all your life around a man. Every conversation, every word that comes out of a man has to do with men. No, it shouldn't be. Anyways, I'd like us to see other people's reaction, other people's opinion to this video, because the street of TikTok was actually blowing up, right, because of this video. So if you've not watched the video, I would implore you to watch the video, and also let's see what other people are saying, regarding this. And are they really responding that she's male-centered? Let us see. At the end, I'll come back and give my final review.
Any woman telling you that you are male-centered is trying to save your life. They are trying to spare you from the inevitable bullshit that will ensue if you stay in the state of mind that you are currently in. I want to give context on this young lady, and I'm going to tag her down below. She wants to check off marriage and kids in addition to her very, very long list of accomplishments. This woman is a big boss. She solo traveled. She's graduated from Howard. She works in tech sales. She has a very lucrative career. She has everything going on for her to be in her middle 20s. And like a lot of accomplished women, you check off everything. I got the degree, I got the house, I got the experience, I got the looks, I got the friendships, I got the community, I got the hobby. All I need left on my list of things is a man and some kids. And with her very, very, very long list of accomplishments and how eager she is to find a partner and to get married, she is going to fall in the lap of a man who is not going to be good for her in most cases. Young women refuse to acknowledge the fact, and hell, they may not even know that. Also, she's Jamaican. I feel as though that's a very important thing to add. She is Jamaican. Okay, that's very, very important to add. Some women may not be aware of the fact that the higher you climb up the ladder when it comes to your accomplishments and your inner work and who you are as a person, men become more and more and more and more of a liability. If this video even reaches the woman who ended up making this video, my best piece of advice to you, ditch the marriage. And if you really want children, you should accept being a single mother. You should do your life exactly like Ebony K. Williams did. She decided to go on ahead and have her child, and she chose to raise the child as a single mother because having a man in the middleman with marriage and children, in most cases with how much of accomplishment, how accomplished you are as a woman, a man is going to be a detriment. And she's made it very clear that like she is having fun dating and she's just enjoying dating. But she did state that she is very intentional about marriage and children. Really, neither one of those things are going to benefit you as far as your accomplishments. But financially, if you can pull it, you're best off being a single mother. Marriage is going to be a detriment to you. I'm so glad that I got on her page and gained more context about who she was and kind of her resume and her background, because this is the reason why she's male-centered. She's male-centered because once women start checking off the boxes of all the things that they have, they try to check off a man and they try to check off marriage and children as the next thing. Those are two very, maybe not so much children. A man is fickle. Everything else, solo trips, getting a house, graduating, advancing in your career, those things are not fickle. You will always be able to rely on your degree. You will always be able to rely on your financial standing to be able to get you where it is that you need to go. She's been in Shanghai, Belize, Brazil. She's traveled to so many freaking places, and it's going to be very, 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 very rare that she's going to find a man that she's going to come across that's going to be anywhere near the caliber that she is looking for to even feel like marriage is worth it. If this woman decides that she's going to put marriage on a pedestal, in most cases, she will be forced to settle. And this is why I'm glad that her friend told her, hey girl, you're male-centered. Any person in your life telling you that you are male-centered, they're telling you that because they believe that you're high above to be so fixated on the desire for marriage, children, relationship. Who you are as a person far exceeds this desire that you have for men, when in most cases, these men are not going to meet your standards. She's too accomplished to have this mindset, period.
This video is a direct response to the Nika Grant video where she asks if she's male-centered. I was going to get up in them comments, but it was too long of a piece. So I decided that it might be helpful doing a video because it might also help reflect some things for other women. And to give you a quick background, I'm always the friend that's in a relationship. I'm always the friend that's dating. I'm currently in a relationship, but I never was ever considered male-centered by any of my friends. which was actually explained to me by one of my friends who randomly brought it up to me, venting about her other friends that she do deem to be male-centered. But to get into Mrs. Grant's video, I can tell that she's male-centered because, like a lot of people in the comments said, she spent that whole video explaining why she does center men. If I recall correctly, she says she has a high interest in marriage and family and said that dating is something that she's actively doing. But what solidified her being male-centered to me particularly is that she said, as a woman, if you're dating men, you know that's the most important relationship in your life. Boom, there it is. Like, so that solidified right there that it's like, okay, I could probably see why your friend got sick of it, because not only does that make you sound incomplete without a man, that also devalues sisterhood to you if you feel as though a relationship with the man is the most important relationship in your life. And I think it's so interesting to say that a relationship with a man is the most important relationship a woman would have, as you do not have a man, but you do have a relationship with your girlfriends, is crazy. Because you're consciously going into devaluing your friendships for a man that doesn't even exist in your life yet. And that just make your friends sound like placeholders at that point. But I'm going to get into my whole like conversation with somebody I was friends with. So I had this friend, we're no longer friends for completely different reasons. But I remember her venting to me about one of her male-centered friends. And she was just saying, like, complimenting the fact that I would be in these relationships and these men weren't the center of my universe. Like, it's like I'm my own person without these relationships. And it could be conversations where these relationships don't even get brought up not one time. And I think it's because I never centered these men, like, in the sense of I never seek them. Like, they just came to me. Like, it was just I'm a fuck around and find out type of person. I'm a social butterfly. People easily like me. So if somebody wants to take me out, I'm like, all right, fuck it. Like, let's go out on a date. Like, it's nothing. And I think outside of me having an understanding of the patriarchy, it just didn't make logical sense for me to feel complete in this life, within my life, due to me having another person. You're born by yourself, you're gonna die by yourself. That was like kind of my mindset. So I wanted to fulfill the things for me that felt personal for me. And within that, I seen people as an experience, all people as an experience, and I seen the value within them all. So I always put them on an equal playing field. That's why I will always have time for my friends. I will always have time for my boyfriend. I will always have time for my family. And to be transparent, it just never logically made sense to make a man be such high value to me, at the center of my world, or what she would say as the most important relationship within my life. Because I know I cannot control people, I cannot control the outcome of things, and because I know that people are their own individual, I do not own nobody. Nobody gives me a higher capital from being in my life, being as though that I bet on myself. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know the behaviors that I have. And when it comes to an external source, it's just too much uncertainty with that for me to sit there and make this the pillar of my universe. And being as though I know there's uncertainty there, and being as though that I know that I am the only person that I can truly trust and truly know what my intentions are and truly know what every move is that I make and that it has the best interest for me, it just never made logical sense for me to center a man. Oh, and I forgot to mention the patriarchal aspect that I just wasn't aligned with. I know within society, women importance is very low. We are just seen as the homemaker, the wife, the mother, and that's what we should aspire to be. And I just knew that my purpose was greater than that. So I do not be feeling as if I should be fulfilled because a man is within my life. I feel like my fulfillment should come from myself and that I'm actually bigger than that. And I feel like when you center being aspiring to be a mother or aspiring to be a wife, that's when you are going to center men. And it's a reason why men do not have that same upbringing and have that same experience as us, and they do not center women, and they still have the relationships with their bros and still have their hobbies. And we're seeing a increase of women losing their friendships, not having hobbies, and fully centering men. I even was told by a woman in her 30s that this ain't nothing yet. When you hit your 30s, everybody's going to be converting to Christianity to try to get a man in the church. Like, we're going extreme routes to make men the prize, to be picked. And that just wasn't it for me. That just didn't make logical sense to me. I just wanted to center myself, and that's why I can be in a relationship and love my man down, and some people wouldn't even know I'm in a relationship. So yeah.
So this lady made a video asking, is she male-centered? And I'm going to answer the question because she literally asked, right? She makes a video saying that one of her close friends cut her off because the close friend said one of the reasons was she is male centered. Now, first things first, and this is absolutely no shade. I saw your name. I said, oh, is she Nigerian? The answer is probably yes. Okay, don't jump me because I'm Nigerian as well. The reason I say it is, and Nigerian women, we can attest to that, Nigerian men can attest to that, is that the culture is very much brought up on patriarchy. When we talk about Nigerian men, the culture of men, it's very big in Nigeria. In a Nigerian culture, and again, this is a woman in her 20s, right? That's when they start asking you about when you're going to when will you marry, like, yeah. But then someone in the comments said that she's not Nigerian, she's Jamaican, and I said, oh, same difference. Because Nigerian and Jamaican, we are literally connected thanks to the transatlantic slave trade. Anyway, going back to your video, let me tell you what I see from the outside looking in, okay? So you mentioned a little blurb about your friend cutting off, and then you said this direct quote, I wrote it down. As a woman in my 20s who has intentions of being married and having children, pause. There's nothing wrong with that if you want to be married and have kids, because I know people go type the paragraphs. Delete it. The next part you said was, that's a really big part of my life. That kind of answers your question. And then after you said this, I'd like to point out, because I didn't look at how long the video was. Again, in that video, you never mentioned the friend again. You never mentioned losing this friend and the friendship. You mentioned the fact that in my 20s you had an intention of being married or whatever you said. You date a lot of men and you go out with men, and I'm going to be exposed to men because I want to be married and whatever. And then so when we have conversations, I'm going to talk about men. That, from the outside looking in, as someone who is not focused on that, is exhausting. It's very exhausting to hear someone who only wants to talk about their dating. And I'm actively dating, and it's exhausting. Okay? When I had a boyfriend, I was like, I don't want to talk about this nigga all the time. Like, we can, a little blurb, whatever, they know I'm with this person, but he's not the center of my world. So high key, from the outside looking in, what I'm seeing is that friends for you are placeholders until you find that husband. That's what I received from your video. Because again, you talked about how your friend cut you off. It wasn't even necessarily like, oh, it's unfortunate. And I understand you were explaining your whole thing about like, well, here's my perspective or whatever. It's okay to want to be in relationships. It is okay to date. I am not, oh my God, I hate men. I'll say it as a joke, but not like, maybe not like misandrous or something. There's some people who take it really fucking far. But Miss Ma'am, the entire video you talked, you mentioned the fact your friend cut you off, and damn near every other word was man, babe. It's exhausting. I can see why your friend cut you off. So I would say just find another friend who is also male-centered and who is very prioritizing of marriage and children, and then you can see what other people are seeing. You would either like it and be like, oh my God, finally I can be in community with someone who has the same like values and goals as I do, or you can say, you know what, this is actually very fucking exhausting. Now I understand why my friend cut me off. So yeah, it's okay to want those things. All right, I don't want kids. Marriage, high key, I'm kind of on the fence even more now. But it's okay to date, and I'm around people who are dating, who are getting married, who are having children. That's fine, but everything we talk about don't have to be about that man. And just in this little video you made, you mentioned your friend one time, and the rest was talking about men. Just my opinion, because again, you asked.
I don't think there is anything wrong with that. It's just confused whether whether she was right, I was talking about men too much.
So I had some thoughts on this video as someone with a little bit of a unique perspective, because I think every woman had a pick-me friend growing up, like a male-centered friend growing up. But not a lot of women have genuinely ever experienced a truly non-male centered friend group, or even at least a relatively non-male centered friend group. And let me just tell you, as someone who has been part of such a friend group, luckily this happened in high school. It was literally life-changing in the best of ways. And to answer the question that the young lady was posing, and just for your information, she is asking the question in very good faith. She's being thoughtful with her replies. She is having a great sense of humor about the situation. So there will be no slander in the comments. This is just a discussion because somebody genuinely asked a question in good faith and they want to know. There's really no need for hate. There's no need to call anybody any names. But yeah, as someone who experienced a non-male centered friend group in high school and throughout college and like throughout the rest of my entire life, basically, because we're still friends, it is very possible to date and even be married like I am and like my friends are without being male centered. So like if the conversation is to the point where somebody's called it out and said, oh, I feel like this is monopolizing our conversations, and then you come back with, well, it is a big part of my life and it's something that I really, really want. Like, yes, that is by default male centered. And as somebody pointed out in the comments, it's sort of the Bechdel test of it all. If you and your female friends spend the majority of your time in discussion about men and male behavior and dating and, things like that, you are male centered. And I'll tell you why. And it's probably not the reason that you think it is. It's because you guys are sitting there beating a dead horse. It's because you guys are sitting there refusing to accept the true nature of men and just move on with your life, and realize that intentionally dating is never going to benefit or serve you as a woman. I'm going to say that again. Intentionally dating and prioritizing your dating life 99% of the time is not going to work out well for you, because most men seek out women who are intentionally dating in order to intentionally waste their time, because those women are the easiest target for them because they're male-centered. Okay. Now, the other thing is that you're just simply over-invested. Your dating life and then your friendships are two separate areas of your life. Can they cross over and sort of intersect, like your partner meeting your friends or you talking with your friends about your partner? Sure, they can meet and intersect. But for most women, this happens with sort of bringing their man problems into the friendship, right? But they would never bring their friend problems to a man. So that's how you know it's male-centered. You use your friends as a sounding board for everything that a man does, says, texts, leaves you on red, whatever. They're the sounding board for all of that. But if you try to do that with your boyfriend or with your talking stage about your friends, it wouldn't be well received. That it would not benefit the relationship, because at some point it's kind of like you're always coming to me complaining about your friends. Like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? Right? And a man can and will say that to you with his whole chest, and he'll be rude about it too, and he'll probably break up with you. But because of the way that women are socialized in our society, your friends are sort of trapped while you sit there and rehash every detail with your latest situationship. And it's like, even though she's already given you all the advice that she can, she has to sit there and listen, because you're not changing your approach, you're not changing your actions, and she's having to sit there and do mental and emotional labor for a man that she's probably never met and never will, because he doesn't give a shit about your friends. So why should she give a shit about him, right? So that's like one aspect of it. I do think there are many other aspects of it that make the whole conversation kind of have a male-centered tinge to it in general, because what you invest your time in is what you care about, right? So when you say that, like, my friendship is kind of the small slice of my life, right? But finding a husband and dating and men takes up a lot of my time, it's something I invest in very heavily, then you can't blame your friend who is like, well, I want to invest more in my friendships, but I also only want friendships that have a mutually equal level of investment. You can't really fault another woman for that. Okay. And then coming back to my own experience with my friend group, it's like we literally did not spend almost any time discussing men ever. And I'll tell you why. Because in that particular friend group, the standards for dating were set really, really high. And so it actually would have been considered funky and embarrassing to come to this friend group talking about, this guy won't text me back. Meanwhile, the rest of the girls will only even give the time of day to a man who is consistent, to a man who shows up and says what he's gonna, has his own life and doesn't need to love bomb you and doesn't need to like isolate you, doesn't need to nag you. That was the general standard of dating in that friend group. Your friend may be only trying to hear about you having positive experiences with men. And what you're coming to her with is stuff that should be embarrassing to talk about. Like, this is the kind of shit that makes having a boyfriend embarrassing, right? Like the fact that he doesn't show up for you, the fact that he's only half invested, meanwhile you're fully invested. And you're trying to figure out how to control another grown-ass human being by asking other women for advice on how to make him more invested. Like, it's all very sad when you really think about it, right? And so that was kind of the unspoken understanding in my friend group, which allowed us to focus on anything else but a man. And I'm just like so proud looking back and so thankful that I had this unique experience, because me and those girls were out and about. We would all pile into like my friend's little convertible and we would just drive around. We would go to the movies together. We would go on what we called like covert ops, just run around the neighborhood when it was dark at night and pretend like we were spies. I don't know. It was just like fun. We would go swimming. We would go boating. We would like play and record music together. We had multiple iterations of songs that we wrote and recorded and produced and everything like that. We would like grab their parents' cameras and make like funny, nonsensical short films. And I'm just so thankful that I got to have this vibrant, radiant, exciting, unusual experience of girlhood with my friends, all because there really was not that male-centeredness in the friend group. And again, it did not prevent any of us from getting married. Like, we're literally all married and have been married for over a decade, all to men who treat us really good. So like, not making dating like this big intentional centered part of your life, I've never known it to prevent anyone from getting married. But I think like a canon event for a lot of women is almost this. It's almost like, I want to be intentional about dating. I want to find a husband. I want to have kids. I want a family. So I'm going to focus on that. And in the end, it always ends up like backfiring on these women, because making that your goal only means that you grow increasingly desperate as time goes on. And I swear to God, men can smell that shit, especially the ones who want to waste your time. They're going to be predatory in that exact way. They look for desperate women. They look for women that are so eager to start a family and get married and all of that, have their fairy tale ending, because they know that these are the easiest women to drag along. These are the easiest women to waste their time. These are the easiest women that will like overinvest in you, and then you can leave them with basically zero consequences once you level up using all of their effort, because you can say the one magic phrase that men love to say, which is, I didn't ask you to do any of that. And I changed my mind. And there's nothing wrong with that. And this just isn't making me happy anymore. Male-centeredness really comes from this idea that you have to capture a man, that you are going to do something like so useful to a man that he's going to want to keep you around, that you're going to be so intentional about dating that you're going to find the best man ever. Like, none of that is ever how it works. I'm so sorry. It just isn't. Unfortunately, under the patriarchy, the only person that needs to be dating intentionally is the man you're dating. It's not you. In fact, for me, up until my husband proposed to me, my status on everything was single. Single. Don't get me wrong. I had my canon events too. You know, there's a reason I know these things. I'm speaking from my own experience too. I think the biggest giveaway of male-centeredness is that the conversation keeps coming back to men, 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 right? And not me, 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 me. The question originated from, am I a bad friend? And then the explanation video is like 75% about men and how important dating is, and how important it is that the end goal of dating is like marriage and family. And that's why I need to focus on it intentionally. And it's like, well, yeah, then that's quite literally male-centered, you know? If you're not thinking of life on your own terms and viewing some possible hypothetical at this point man as a nice addition to your life, and you're thinking of him as a driving force for your life, then that's quite literally male-centered. And I suppose there's really nothing wrong with that. You can do that, right? But if you're asking whether it's male-centered or not, the answer is 100% yes. And hopefully I have given enough reasons to sort of explain why.
Here's my final take. I love the fact that she said that she would like to get married. Part of her vision or part of her mission is to settle down, right? And believe me, she's still in her mid-20s, so maybe she has not gotten shiggy banter from some men, you know. And I don't think it's right that every conversation, even no one is saying don't talk about your relationship, but you can't just throw that out in the air. You can't just every conversation you want to have with your friend, it has to be, you know, you're talking about men, you know. These people, are they really men, are they really so nice that you want to, you know, you want to center your life around them, and you want to you want to blow that trumpet so much? I feel rather than, you know, expanding this energy talking so much about men, you could actually use it to do something, you know, meaningful. It's good to love men, yes. I'm not saying don't love men. I'm not coming here to say trash things about men, because, you know, everybody has his or her own flaws, right? But making every conversation, every topic, everything, every little thing about man, it's a bit irritating, right? There are some things that you should keep to yourself. Not everything that happened in your relationship that you go out telling people, right? Things it's not everybody that is so happy, right? It's not everybody that is caught out for the man bullshit. It's not everybody that's caught out for the man things, right? Well, that's not your fault, but still, you need to learn to know how to draw the curtain. You need to learn to know how to draw a line, right? Not all your conversations should be centered around. Actually, be centered, if you ask me, because I had to watch that video. I had to watch the clip, and I could see how passionate you were, you know, talking about your relationship, talking about how much you love men, talking about how much you do this to men. Girl, remember to learn to choose yourself first, right? Anyway, this is my opinion about this video. This is my thought, this is my view. Do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Do not forget to share and like. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section below. And do not forget to click on the notification bell, so when next I drop a video, you'll be the first to get a notification. Bye for now, guys.